look good. Wish
The past haunts us all. Whether it be a person, place, or thing, we are reluctant to let go. We call to the dead out of desperation and intrigue, searching for answers about what lies behind the shadows. We are paranormal researchers. Hello, and welcome to the Necromancer Live Show. I'm your host, Justin Brown, and this is episode 34 with Marcus D. and Vic. I'm hoping I'm not going to slay your last name. Is it Whateley? All right, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so these guys are really, really cool. I've been wanting to bring them on the show for a very long time. Without further ado, we're just going to bring them on, and we're going to start this off running right out of the gate. What's up, guys? How you guys been?
we've been doing good. We're doing good. Finally happy to be here. I do love the show. I do love the show. I do love to watch it.
Awesome. Yeah, I love to get somebody in front of me that I've never seen before. I think I've actually did see you on a podcast. Didn't you do a podcast before?
We've done I don't know any podcasts, but we've done like a few interviews with people.
Yeah, we've done a few interviews, but I don't think we've ever actually been on camera. This is the first one that we're aware of.
Right, that's great because I thought I've seen you guys before, but maybe I'm wrong. But I got you guys on video now. It's all
out there.
No return.
Face reveal right now.
This is the face reveal. We are doing it on Necromancer, the live reveal of who Marcus D. and Vic Whateley are.
That's awesome. So you guys are from Southern Indiana. You're not too far from where I live. It's going to be we're going to have very similar interests, and we're going to come from similar backgrounds and have kind of the similar roots there. It's definitely as far as the paranormal is concerned, because there's a lot of cool things that line up as far as the cryptid stuff and the ghost stuff, and how we kind of grew up is probably very similar, I can imagine. But I want to go all the way back. I start these shows off going all the way back and trying to understand why you guys got into the paranormal. Why are you passionate about it? Is it from experience that you guys had, or is it just from this crazy curiosity?
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll go first. For me, what got me into the paranormal was I always enjoyed talking with other people about various paranormal aspects that they liked. I always found that it was something that a lot of people share that they don't realize that they share. Almost every single person or almost every single town has some sort of aspect, something paranormal about it. A haunted house. People have had, a sighting of ghosts or shadow people. So everybody's had something.
Right.
And for me, that's always just been a cool thing to kind of figure out what people are into or what they know.
Well, and I grew up in the middle of absolutely nowhere, and
I've seen it. It is literally the middle of nowhere.
And it's like one of those little farming areas that's surrounded by swampland that you get around the river areas of Indiana. And I had a paranormal experience very early on, and it really made me interested in all the myths and stuff that we had around our little farming community. So I started going out, pretty much as soon as I could stay out, at least around sunset, and just started to investigate as much as I could before I had to go back home.
So,
and I'd always run around.
So elaborate a little bit on this experience. Do you care to do that?
Oh, no, that's fine. My very first paranormal experience, I'm not exactly sure how young I was at the time, but I don't think I had started school yet. So I think this is pre-first grade. I was in preschool or something like that. But I was at my house, and we just got done bringing in the horses, and we were going to take a nap. It must have been around the afternoon. And I was still young enough to be taking naps with my parents. So I was laying down in between my mom and my dad, and something just kind of woke me up. And I looked down at the foot of the bed, and there was almost like someone took a silhouette of a person made entirely out of static and was just feeding it up from underneath the bed. And I just stared at it, and it's hard to remember some of the details from back that early on. I don't even think I tried to wake my parents up. I think I just kind of froze. And then I eventually after it just fully got to where it was standing there, I just got underneath the covers. And after a few minutes, I popped back out and it was gone. And I was hooked. That was all it took. And I don't really know much to say about the experience. Encounters with static people are incredibly rare. But
it is, and the only thing that I've ever saw before is very similar to that. And I am deeply interested in what that is, because I believe that there's things that you see with your eyes and the optics, and there's things you see with maybe the third eye or a psychic eye. And maybe the full-blown apparitions or the things you see that doesn't seem optic are different. I think the staticky, weird anomaly things, maybe even sometimes shadow people, are with optics. You can record them with a camera. So that sounds like something that you probably could have recorded and that you probably were seeing with your optics. And the reason why I say is the staticky stuff seems like it's some type of interaction with subatomic particles or some type of energy with the atmosphere or the area around the head of the bed, or the foot of the bed rather. So I'm deeply intrigued about that, and that's partly why I do what I do, is because I want to figure out if I'm right about those things. Can you take physics and science and apply it to understanding those type things and things beyond that? So that's interesting that you saw that. Marcus, anything that you experienced like that got you really interested, or is it just the stories and people that you like?
I didn't have a whole lot of personal paranormal experiences until much later. I would say the strongest paranormal experience that I have ever had probably came shortly after we first started the One Candle Society here. We were investigating people's homes. We were investigating a home here in Evansville, and one of the family was talking about the seeing shadow people, feelings of being watched was the typical impression that we got. Shortly after investigating the house that night when I went to sleep, and I've never had this experience before. The night after we investigated this home where the people were claiming to see shadow people, I had an instance of sleep paralysis. Never had it. I'm 31 years old. Never had sleep paralysis before, and I still believe that I saw a shadow person in my house. And I'm not a person that's easily started. Vic can tell you that we've gone on investigations. He's kind of got the wide-eyed thing, looking around, and I'm just looking around pretty chill. And it was a very startling experience for me. So if anything, that's just solidified my interest in the paranormal since I kind of had that experience.
Right. I have actually been doing even more research on sleep paralysis lately because it's been a topic on my show and other shows that I do help my friend with, Matt Benton. We've talked about the sleep paralysis, and my research suggests that people do see a shadow figure either while they're falling asleep or waking during the sleep paralysis where they can't move or anything. But that seems like a common theme, the shadowy figure. And of course the doctors like to say, well, that's just a hallucination. But how do they know for sure? They're not going to
associated with it has changed over the years too.
Right.
Because it used to be more commonly hags and in certain regions horses. Like on your chest and things like that.
Right. So that is interesting that you had that experience right after that. Now, my research also told me that sleep deprivations, stress, interruptions in sleep patterns are factors in, incidents of sleep paralysis, and you weren't experiencing anything like that, right?
Not really.
Okay, so that is interesting that it would just happen out of the blue like that, and
it was in this late in my life. A lot of people have had that I've stories that I've read of people like seeing shadow people or having sleep paralysis. They've talked about having these experiences before in their life, and this was way middle age. I'm getting to be middle age now, and just have it now. I thought was kind of odd.
Yeah, paranormal. Probably more than odd.
Oh yeah.
That's cool. That's interesting. So nothing happened. You haven't had a instance of sleep paralysis since then?
No.
Yeah, that's even more strange.
Mm-hmm.
So you started off doing residential investigations to see, if you can not only help people but try to learn more about what's out there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we did. When we first started One Candle Society back 2014. I think it was back in 2014, 2013-ish, around that time. That's kind of what we did. We did a lot of investigations in some of the surrounding in some homes in the surrounding area here in Evansville, and then a little bit after doing that, me and Vic kind of we're always joking around about the idea of just maybe we should just start a YouTube channel. Since I was in high school, I've always really loved editing videos, and I've had a passion for doing that. And I've yet to meet a person within 500 miles that knows more about the paranormal than Vic. And y'all, I take that as a challenge. I'm telling you, this is a lot of where the information's right here. Anyway, it comes from or whatever, and and then we did, and then we just decided to start at it to see if we could actually do this of making a YouTube channel. And a couple of years later, we've had some outer success. We're really happy to have done it.
Yeah, I was really happy to see that your YouTube channel started getting to a great start. I mean, I think you're up around almost 17K subscribers currently.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's really good for the content you guys put out there. I mean, it's not anything fancy, but it's done in a certain way that's not biased. You know what I'm saying? It's not sensationalized. You put it out there, and there's some subjects that you cover that are really, really cool. I think one of my favorite ones was the astronaut one, and maybe a few others that stood out. And some of the creepypasta stuff is very, very popular on YouTube for whatever reason, either from the younger generation or just out of some strange curiosities. People's imaginations can go down some weird rabbit hole on YouTube, and they'll run into some pretty weird stuff. So once you got the YouTube channel started, what was the process of coming up with ideas and content and how you were going to format all this stuff?
Arguments.
Yeah, arguments. It really is. We'll start talking about something, and pretty much the thing that we argue most passionately about, we decide that that's what we should talk about that week.
Yeah, like what most people don't like. Our most popular video that we have is the 5 chilling things said by astronaut videos.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And every time I watch it, I still can't figure out why. Because I mean, it's a fun video. We were just super surprised how popular that became. It really exploded and launched our channel.
And it was a knockdown, drag out fight about that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We couldn't do the day we were going to record the video. We fought so bad about what content was going to go in there that we didn't even record.
We're very passionate about the subject, and we will just talk at each other. And that's how we know what we think is good to put on.
Yeah.
Right. Not only is it interesting to talk about, it's controversial, and the conspiracy theory around, space and astronauts and that whole thing just puts that right amount of, paranormal shenanigans in there. There's so many people out there that's searching for that stuff on the web and are talking about it constantly. So I'm not surprised that was, something that really took off. And there's some other stuff. I remember you messaged me, Marcus, about black-eyed children. That is another subject that seems to be just tattooed into people's psyches for whatever reason. What is your take on why that is?
Well, every season we have tried to do we call it like One Candle's Most Wanted, like some sort of thing in the paranormal that we want to get other people's opinions about. Mm-hmm. And last season's was the Black Eyed Kids. And, Vic brought this to my attention of this being a thing. And so I started getting the feelers out there. And the more, and like 95% of the people that I reached out to had no idea about this. They'd never heard of this. They'd never seen this. What they did say was that they found the idea of a paranormal child entity very chilling and very creepy and just very off-putting.
Right.
The thing about the sort of paranormal stranger, it strikes a string with us. You can find it going back to, like, say, Hungarian tales of vampires showing up at people's houses at night and trying to get in, or the Spring Hill Jack cases in London. It's just one of those strings that always seems to strike at people.
Right. There is so much lore about ghost children, about something that involves, a young child in a ghost story, and it just seems like it's everywhere. But with the black-eyed children thing, it's dark, and there doesn't seem to be like an origin from some type of myth or lore that I know of. It just seemed like it sprung out of nowhere. Is that how you kind of understand it?
Yeah, back in 1994 was the first major case that really got spread around. It was a guy encountering 2 of them outside of a movie theater. And after that started getting spread around, other people started to come forward with, hey, we've seen very similar things. And that's when people started to put together the pattern of what was going on, the commonalities between the different stories. There's a few stories that go further back than that, but not a whole lot of them. It seems to be a modern phenomenon.
Yeah, I think the closest thing that I think that we found when we did our documentary about the black-eyed children was that accounts of them look very similar to people's account, to abductees' accounts of seeing children on spaceships when they were up there, like alien human hybrid children, like in stories that people say was probably the closest similarity that I think that either of us could find back then.
I'm gonna have to add to that. My mother, I don't know if you've watched any of my interviews or not. She is a shaman, and she's like this very gifted psychic. I don't. She hates labels, but she knows shit she shouldn't know. Okay, and she's crazy, and she would tell me stories growing up that would terrify me to this day. Okay, stories of abductions of strange beings coming from the sky in either ships or huge orbs of light, strange stuff like that. And she would play with children that would come from these ships. Okay, and when you say that just rings a bell. It's like a chord inside me that there's something that might be involved with that. And I know from my research of black-eyed children, there's a lot of extraterrestrial speculation with that type thing. What is your idea with that? Are you kind of leaning towards that as a possibility, or is it not spiritual and maybe something like that?
Well, we've been kicking around this idea a lot, and we did heavily go over the extraterrestrial side of it. But we've been starting to believe that there might be a connection with them and shadow people, because a lot of the odd stick-out anomalies that occur with black-eyed kids can also be found in conjunction with shadow people. Like, for example, there's a very small minority of cases that involve shadow people where they're light people instead, where instead of being opaque black, they're opaque white, and instead of seeming to drain light from the area, they seem to illuminate it. You can also find the same sort of extremely rare anomaly in black-eyed kids, where you'll occasionally hear accounts of ones with bright white eyes.
Another thing that we saw parallels between them and shadow people was this story when this sort of predatory feel that people sort of get out of them. Like, you just know inherently that this thing is just wrong. It's profane. It's not right. It's just chilling and just off-putting. It's just off-putting to you.
But going along with that, one of the things that I keep going back to, and I don't think we've talked about this on our channel yet, everyone talks about getting this predatory instinct from them. And for something to be in that instinctual knowledge, it has to be something that has plagued humanity for a long period of time. But we don't have those sort of stories. It's just something that's been sticking out of my mind here lately. Like,
right.
If they're saying like way further back in humanity's timeline involving it.
Right. That's what's most interesting to me is, like, usually there's some type of archetype attached to the phenomena that a lot of people report, or it stems from some type of myth or lore that's been around for quite some time. But the black-eyed children seems to be different. And another interesting, before we shift gears from the subject, I want to talk about the cases that involve them asking for entry into the home. Like, they need permission to enter. They just can't do whatever they want. What's your theory on that?
Very oldie, vampiric-esque to kind of get in the home. I think that was an idea that we threw around too. Is that these are somehow there was some vampiric nature where people had kind of got that idea, because like a lot of old story with vampires, they had to be invited into your home to get in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not true about many old undead tales in general.
Yeah, and also why a lot of people like vampire encounters, they often have older styled clothes. Mm-hmm. And a lot of accounts of people seeing black-eyed children, they have outdated clothing,
pallid skin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the
predatory natures to them.
Right, maybe something that's changed their method in which to trick people or deceive by how they appear to people, maybe what might be going on. It sounds like it. Like, if it's been going on for some time, maybe they think if they present themselves as a child, it's more innocent, and maybe you're more likely to let them in or trust them.
And we're not specifically saying that there's vampires out there with long fangs coming to drink your blood or anything like that. But the thing is, at the kernel of every myth, and we both believe this is a kernel of truth, and perhaps these are stories that have been left to us by past generations that are meant to tell us certain things to protect us. And maybe there's little secret informations in there that get carried over.
Yeah, so. And sometimes monsters are just real.
Okay. Yeah.
So we'll leave that subject there for everybody watching to not go to bed at night tonight. But I want to talk about what you guys do when you're not doing residentials and you're not doing YouTube videos. Do you go seek out any type of notoriously haunted place like you either see on TV or you've known about in your neck of the woods in your neighborhood?
Yeah, we'll go poke around from time to time.
We have gone from time to time. A few times the thing we put like about 4 videos I think on our channel where we've talked about our personal investigations, parts of Evansville that we've investigated, a cemetery we went to investigate in Kentucky.
Okay, do you remember the name of the cemetery in Kentucky? Because I think is it along the river?
Yeah, I think it was near Madison. It was Pilot Knob Cemetery was where we went to investigate, and I particularly enjoyed that particular investigation we did. There was a cemetery that was down there. There's supposedly a grave of a child who was burned at the stake for being a witch with her mother. I think that was the story.
Yeah, no. Another member of the society, Adam Mathers, actually pulled up a bunch of old historical documents, and we found that the myth doesn't really jive with the documented facts, but it was still a very interesting investigation.
Yeah, like the story goes that you can see the ghost of the child just walks around around her grave, and there's like a shadow person entity that is also haunting the cemetery and is trying to get the ghost child too.
Those legends are always fascinating. You know, they seem to be peppered all over our area. I mean, one that I've been to quite a lot is called Elizabeth's Grave, and it involves a woman who's weeping at her grave and was hung and the legend says that she allegedly moves around her grave and stuff like that. But it just seems like these old cemeteries, there are ghost legends, but like you said earlier before, there is some type of something real that sparked the legend. Maybe it's not just, kids trying to scare each other. So, I'm kind of looking on Google right now. There's a mention of the ghost girl again. Did you find any supporting evidence either in the history or what you found when you went out there to suggest that anything is going on like that out there?
Well, the girl was a real person. She did die and she was buried there. There were definitely signs that the myth was alive and well because supposedly if you climbed over the small fence around her gravestone and you laid down, you couldn't stand back up. And we could tell bends in the fence and stuff where people had tried to.
And for the record, we didn't do that because we feel like that would have been inappropriate. And we did not do that.
Want to actually bring up an image.
Most people started thinking that we were laying on people's graves.
But as far as any actual experiences or anything like that out there, we didn't really have any solid experiences that night. Just some strange feelings and sounds in the woods, but they could have very easily been animals.
But other people that have claimed that have gone out there have had like experiences of seeing shadow people and just odd feelings and things like that they've put on there.
Mm-hmm.
And what's that lake that we went out to where we were investigating the Black Annie thing?
Oh yeah,
we about that voice that we were hearing.
Oh yeah, that was a good one too. So we went out to a real cool one we did here in near Evansville. It was in Boonville. We went out to Scales Lake to investigate. It's called the Legend of Black Annie, and we went out to like the quick version of the legend is supposedly this woman burned down, burned up in a house that like back in the 30s or something like that, and supposedly like she's dressed in all black and like will run out in front of cars, jump on cars, and you can see her going down this particular road, and she haunts this lake, and like you can hear sounds of screaming when you go on the lake and things like that.
And we kept hearing this weird voice like on the wind. It's almost hard to describe. Imagine like someone speaking through like a tube, and it sounded like it was right next to you, but it also seemed like it was coming from every direction at once. And we kept like hearing rustling, but the thing is like there'd be no bushes or anything around us. Like we were walking on a soccer field, and we kept hearing like rustling of something going through a bush, but there's no bushes anywhere near us.
It was pretty, and a cool thing, like she's supposed to be draped in all black. We got to the end of the road, supposedly that she's supposed to be on, and we get to this sign where it's at the end, and there's a black scarf tied around this tied around this sign that's down there. And the weirdest part, and Vic at the time, he didn't think it was much of it at the time, but like, but we never took a photo of it, which is odd because we were out there investigating it. And I mean, I'm not gonna try to say we're not amateurs or anything like that. Really, it was just we all thought it was very odd and just kind of disquieting. And it was just weird. We just didn't take a photograph of it.
I thought you were going to say the weird guy that was just walking around in the middle of the night without a shirt.
Oh yeah, there was like a crazy homeless guy that was just wandering the side of the road. We didn't see that. We didn't see an actual like woman in black. We assume either he or she got
another weird kind of synchronicity along those lines. I was investigating Bargeist Road in Brazil, Indiana once. And I was out with a different team. Adam and Ellie were with me, but he just couldn't come that day. And we were in. Do you know what a Bargeist is?
Bargeist, no.
Sometimes, basically, it's a large, dark, sometimes considered to be ethereal hound. But basically, sometimes people will refer to them as hellhounds. But we're driving down the road, and we start hearing this thunk, 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 thunk under the car, and we're like, oh, God, what just happened? Because we're on this old pot-filled dirt road. And I get out, and I start checking the car, and I have the flashlight with me, and I look up, and no kidding you, on the fence, like right next to me, not 5 feet from me, and we could have stopped anywhere on this road, is a skeleton of a dog halfway decayed on the fence, just like someone put it up there and laid it on it. Why anyone would do that to a dog, I have no clue, but that just happened to be the area right where we stopped to check the car. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. What I ended up doing, I went back to the car and be like, I don't care what's going on. If someone's willing to do that, we should get out of here because I don't know what they'll do to us. But it was just bizarre.
I understand completely. Anything besides like, urban legend or ghosts? Do you guys ever try to do anything with UFOs or Bigfoot? Like that type of genre?
We haven't tried to tackle Bigfoot yet. That's a big apple to bite out of.
But remember, we're thinking about trying to recreate that guy's study about flashing lights at a certain frequency into the sky to draw UFO attention.
Yeah,
we haven't set anything up for it yet, but we were talking about doing it.
Yeah, that was one that we did. We watched we interviewed this Christopher Polo on the guy who did the documentary on Netflix, Curse the Man Who Sees UFOs. And in the documentary, one of the things he was talking about was using like flashing lights as a way of trying to signal UFOs.
And we love anything recreatable.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that's something that we hope to be able to do here in the near future, to be able to see kind of if there's any sort of consistency. Because, I mean, here on the Ohio River, there's a plethora of UFO sightings, almost as much as out there where he's at in California. So we figured that this could be a good place to kind of do that at.
That and bizarre humanoids.
That's true.
Bizarre humanoids are real common along the Ohio River.
Yeah, I noticed that. What is your real quick? What is your take on that? What seems to be the reasoning behind people's is it actual real sightings that people are seeing, or do you think it stems from some kind of fear that people have from maybe the river being contaminated, or
chemical water for all the companies dumping stuff in the Ohio River?
Yeah,
like five-eyed catfish.
We actually started to do a video on this in our first season, but then our computer broke down. We lost about 5 videos that we had pre-recorded. Mm-hmm. And one of the things we talked about in there is how bizarre activity seems to spawn bizarre activity. Like a lot of these humanoid sightings were all within a fairly close time frame of each other. Some of them even just within days, like the Hobsonsville Goblin and then the Green Claw Beast were both within just a day of each other. And I don't know why, but I think that there's some sort of like meta connection between UFOs, Bigfoots. Like Bigfoot sightings are usually seen shortly after UFO sightings. Flying humanoids are associated with curses. All these things that seem like they shouldn't be connected. There seems to be some sort of missing piece that we don't have, but that connects all of it. It's just, what is that piece is one of the big things that drives me in the world of the supernatural.
Yeah. I agree with that. That reminds me of the Mothman phenomenon and the Men in Black and the UFOs sightings that's happening. It just seems like some type of portal that lets weird crap out opens up.
Men in Black are associated with poltergeist activity.
Right. I mean, you can go pretty far down the rabbit hole and find out that there's some weird connections with it, and you just feel like, intuitively that there's a key or some kind of intersection that you can go to find how everything's connected and how everything can be explained, that in that way. Now, is it dimensional? Is it some type of, sense or consciousness? I don't know. That's up for grabs. But it is interesting, and it is a well that you can get infinite content from.
And us being content producers for the paranormal, this is good news for us. For you and us.
And Marcus has had to pull me out of that hole a few times.
Oh, I know. Like, because it is possible to fall down the rabbit hole when you're looking into stuff, the paranormal.
It is.
You gotta have somebody to pull you out because it can be overwhelming.
Yeah, but what fun is that?
Yeah.
So, what are your guys' plans and for the future of your YouTube channel and your paranormal work? What goals do you have for 2018 and beyond? I'm kind of interested in knowing what things that you want to change or get better or do differently than you are now.
Join the Men in Black. Get recruited.
Get the inside scoop on stuff.
Yeah, because I'm serious, they probably know some awesome stuff. I don't know. I don't know. Every single season we try to tackle some sort of thing in the paranormal where we try to reach out and talk to other people. In the first season, in season 2 that we did this, season 1 that we did this, we did the Harlequin. We did like the clown people, like clown sightings that some people would see, and then this season we did, and last season we did black-eyed children. The season, and we're announcing it on your show.
Yep.
For what we're going to be doing, we're going to be uploading the video. We're going to be uploading the video sometime in March for our call to action. We're going to be looking into skinwalkers. We're looking to the phenomenon of skinwalkers, like these werewolf, goatmen, mothman, merman-esque entity, or bird people entities.
They're highly associated with witchcraft as well.
Yeah. So
that is an interesting topic too, witchcraft. Mm-hmm. What is your research? Have you learned and told you about that type, of phenomena? Have you ever ran into anything with the occult and witchcraft? Do you believe in it? Go.
People doing it wrong.
Yeah, a lot of times when we're called out to a location, particularly when there's a lot of activity, it'll often start with someone engaging in some sort of occultic practice. And then they usually admit to us, well, I was just kind of trying this out. I didn't really know what I was doing, and I think something went wrong.
I Googled spellbinding a ghost, and, this popped up. I thought it might work, and,
I think it's real enough to either draw the attention of like paranormal entities, or real enough to upset them and get them really pissed off. I've seen just so many cases where someone's experimenting with witchcraft, and then boom, they've really upset something, and now they have an entity in their house.
Right. Now, these entities could be something very, very different from something of spirit, right? It could be an elemental. It could be something really, really different. Like, what is some of the things that maybe you haven't experienced, but maybe you've researched and you have an open mind about?
Oh, I have an open mind about everything.
Demons. What do you think about demons?
I think that most people think that that's typically like what they're probably going to encounter.
Yeah, everyone seems to think everything's demons, but there's a whole rainbow of bizarre out there, and I think there's a lot more to it than that.
I think when people try to identify stuff, they work within their sandbox. Mm-hmm. They work within their general understanding of the paranormal to try to identify things,
or what their church told them.
Well, I mean, but that's honestly why you get, like 90% of people, or 95% of people thinking that is demons, Mm-hmm. Because again, when you're playing in that sandbox, that's really the only thing you got, sometimes.
But like I've come to odder conclusions than that before. There's a young woman that we were called out to her house, and she was doing some sort of ritual trying to contact fairies because she thought they were cute and pretty and stuff. And then like things kept going missing around her house, and then things were getting thrown through her window and all sorts of things along those lines. And one of the things I told her is like, if you look into fairy folklore, they're not these cute little pixie things. They're often extremely dangerous things that, you know, will steal your children or like.
I can't see it. I have a sign that says "Don't do it." That's my advice.
I see it.
These are in folklore very dangerous sort of entities that it would just be best not to draw their attention. I'm not 100% convinced they're real, but maybe they're real.
Yeah, it kind of what you're saying kind of reminds me of the jinn, and a lot of people believe in the jinn. You know, is that comes from is that Arabia? Is that like from the Quran? Like
It is from the Quran. It also has predecessors before that. The term genie is actually a French word. Jinn is the predecessor of that.
That's
and
right.
Yeah, they're very similar to what we refer to as demons of an elemental sense. They also kind of have a first man sort of aspect to their story where they were around before humanity, and now they're very pissed off that they don't dominate the world, and they're very resentful, and they have this very elemental acuity to them. And there's this whole folklore to even their colors, like different colored jinn. Like some jinn in the folklore are nice-ish, and other ones are just straight. They are here to ruin your life.
And
Right.
somehow I think a lot of people that have, been around for 30, 40 years feel that they can adequately handle something that's been around for a couple thousand years of experience. And I'm just being honest. I think when you're dealing with something that's been around for that long, you're at a severe disadvantage. And I'm just being practical. And I feel like I just feel like I'm being practical in that assessment for most people.
Yeah, I tend to agree, especially when it comes to things even more crazy, like something truly demonic, something truly above what we would call, someone who was like a disembodied entity, consciousness, a spirit, whatever you want to say. If there's things out there like demons, like jinn, you're dealing with something that not only is beyond your power to do much about, based on general knowledge of them, because there's so much debate and so many different beliefs about them. But understanding something like that is not really feasible, like their intent, understanding their behavior, stuff like that. Like I've noticed in very rare cases that I think that might have something to do with that type of phenomena. It's really hard to know what their actual intent is, and how to predict anything at all, and how you help a client or how you help explain that phenomenon to somebody is really, out of my league. I know. I just tell them, like, look, these are things that we don't know crap about, and if you're honest with yourself about that, instead of trying to play demonologist all the time and thinking that you're some type of expert on the subject matter, you probably will help the client in that way, and just, being honest about your ignorance about it, and to say, hey, do this, do that, try not to make matters worse, and try not to, play some type of weird sorcerer and do all this and that. And speaking of which, have you guys done a lot of content on Ouija boards and stuff like that?
No, but we have very different views on Ouija boards where
I bring back up the "Don't do it" sign. I feel like, I hope you guys can see that. Like, that should probably just be most people's West. I don't know. Most of your viewers are probably going to think that I'm too cynical.
Okay, like I think if you want to give it a try and you're willing to be responsible with it, it's possible to do it safely. Now, your opinion on the matter is. I was hoping for some elaboration there.
Sorry. No. Okay. Okay. If you think about it practically, again, I'm going back to that. Like, most people have a very difficult time understanding other people's intentions, motives, and things like that just with another person. I just have a hard time believing that like your average person has the ability to get the intention or can understand the motivations of something that's been around for a very long time, that has had a lot of practice with a very malicious intent. And if you really think about it, most things that are very good at being malevolent probably are not going to appear necessarily malevolent at first.
Right.
Yeah, but if you totally don't engage with it at all, you're never going to advance your understanding of it. Now, you shouldn't do so irresponsibly, willy-nilly, or anything like that. But if someone's experienced, I think it's possible to do it and come away without negative experience.
Yeah, and the whole negative stigma, I'm sorry to interrupt, the negative stigmata that's been attached to it was from the exorcism case that stemmed from the St. Louis happening, where the boy he was allegedly playing around with it, and then he ended up becoming obsessed, and that was the whole
basis for the movie The Exorcist.
Yeah, basis for the movie Exorcist. So that's where it really got its bad name, I would say. And just the fact that people fear that whole phenomena altogether, and it's kind of that fear is instilled and amplified in dogma and religious dogma that people are influenced by. But like you were saying, Vic, there is some type of justification for trying things with common sense. Trying to. I mean, there's only one way you're going to find out if it's real, and there's only one way to practically know. Is a Ouija board a tool for, either speaking with something spiritual or not? So what would be your rule of thumb, or your just, rules right out of the gate of what to do and what not to do with the Ouija board?
Don't trust anything out of hand. Right. Do not assume that the thing has any remote interest in your well-being. That would be my big assumption. Definitely don't make any sort of deal or anything like that for prolonged exposure. If you're going to engage it in the sort of way you would do experimenting in a new science. Come in quickly, understand initial responses, leave quickly until you get a baseline understanding down. And definitely nothing prolonged. Now Marcus is going to say that you shouldn't engage in such entities at all. And that's why we were probably not going to see too much Ouija board stuff on our channel, because I pitched that we do something like that at one point, and he said he just wouldn't be there for it.
Like,
why not? Tell us why not. Why don't do that?
I just got flustered. Well, for one, I assume that most Ouija boards you're going to buy are going to be made from Mattel, and any corporation that's probably big is probably inherently evil. So you probably come in with some sort of evil voodoo probably attached to it. I don't know. He-Man. Sorry, yeah. I don't know. Like. It kind of goes back to what I was saying before. I have a very difficult time. I would probably do it with Vic. I would think he would probably be one of the few people that I would feel comfortable with approaching this with. But I think like 9 times out of 10, I don't think your average person is going to be knowing what they're dealing with, and they can end themselves up in a very bad situation real quickly. But to be fair, a lot of where I've come from in the paranormal is, I grew up very Catholic. And while I'm very skeptical, and I will turn a little serious. I'm a skeptic on the channel, and I know I come at things very lightheartedly. Something I truly believe in is demonic possession. Mm-hmm. I truly do believe in that type of thing, and I think when you invite stuff that to you, I think that is the beginning stages of going down a very bad path to something that is very dark. That can't happen. And personally, for me, that's why I don't typically like messing with that.
Yeah, I try to respect that boundary.
Marcus does not have a morbid curiosity, but Vic does. Totally understandable. I played with the Ouija board a few times in my youth, and nothing really happened. But like you said, the intent's got to be there, and you have to take it seriously. And as long as the intent's there, I do believe that there's a lot of stories out there that are true and deserve some type of looking into and being open-minded about it. But it the stigma attached to it is what's the most interesting thing about the Ouija board and what people generally feel about it, because I go investigate a lot of locations that claim to be haunted, as you know, and one of the most common things that you will see is, do not bring a Ouija board into the house, do not use a Ouija board inside the house. That is like one of the most common things that I hear, and there's always some asshole that does, and it just ticks them off.
Well, I think your average person, I think when they're trying to delve into the paranormal, I don't think, they don't come into it with a lot of the understanding that like me and Vic and you do. So I think the Ouija board is a very easily identifiable thing, like in the culture.
Right.
If you're trying to dabble into the paranormal, that you knew, it comes with instructions on the box.
It's easy. Accessible for everyone to just pick it up.
You can go to, I think you can buy it at Toys R Us, and
Yeah, a lot of people make their own. They'll do the pencil thing, and it's all relatively same thing. And another subject before we get to the end of the show I'd like to talk about is a lot of people are doing things that are basically the same thing without the stigma and the whole fear around it. And that's like stuff like spirit boxes, pendulums, dowsing rods, any type of ITC that you do, I feel is relatively the same. Okay, and I was wondering what your guys' opinions on all the tools people use for ITC. Is it the same? Is it different? What do you think about that?
Probably gotta have different opinions.
You want to go? No, you go first. You're good.
Like, I think some of them carry certain different weights to them. I think some of them do work. I think a Ouija board you can get results with. I haven't tried Charlie yet myself. But from what I've heard, then I think that's what you're talking about with the pencils, right?
Right.
Yeah, and there's another one that's come out of Japan that I'm interested in. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it involves using a sheet of paper and you make a shrine arch. And the thing that I find fascinating about that one is you're actually contacting a very specific Shinto spirit with it. Mm-hmm. And the idea is that it's supposed to be a fair deal safer because in the folklore, it's not a particularly dangerous spirit. It's a friends-ishly trickster, where he may sometimes do something slightly bad to you with the intent of you learning something, but is not actually anything that's malevolent. I think that one might be something interesting to experience. Not with you, I know, boundaries. But I find that particular idea very fascinating. But yeah, like I said, I do believe that some of them work, and I've had results with a Ouija board. I haven't really pulled one out since I was, probably a teen, maybe early 20s. But I got results from them then.
I think there is something to people. I think there is something to the instrument, and I think there is something to with the kind of the intent or the I'm having a hard time saying it. The motivation that you go into of what you're trying to do, with how successful. I think some of these tools can be, and I think the location that you do them in, oftentimes has a real big part of the success for a lot of people's attempt in using these things.
Right.
As well.
So, basically, what I want to get from you is, do you believe that they're not all the tools for ITC? They are pretty much different in and of themselves, but they're kind of similar. Basically, with the stigma removed from them, they all seem to be tools that can open up things and connect with things that may or may not be good.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not sure if everyone's valid. I haven't tried them all, but I think all of them have the potential to probably go poorly.
I think at the heart of all of them, I think again, it's that real intent of someone trying to reach out to something. I think sends, if you're trying that, the thing is all through cultures, everybody's used these different type of tools, I think, of trying to call to things or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
People have used a bazillion different tools. At the heart of all of it is this strong intent that this is what you want.
And I think there really is something to what Marcus is saying, because you're trying to call to someone on the other side of that pond, someone who's on the other side of the world. And when the two fingers reach up for the surface, there's going to be ripples.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can have effects.
Right. So that is a topic definitely you might want to consider doing if you haven't done on your channel is, maybe not the Ouija board for the reasons you mentioned, but maybe ITC in general. Or maybe you can just do a history of the Ouija board to not leave the door open for a whole lot of debate and, controversy or whatever. But I think that would be, I would love to see that type of content come from you guys, because there is such a huge range of things that you could do, especially with the ITC field, because I know there's just a lot of nonsense out there. There's some interesting things out there, and there's some things that even that I've researched in religion and theology that deal with ITC, the whole incense and the psychedelic type of herbs and substances they used, and these whole incense things, and the thing they put their head in and they put the curtain down, and a lot of that stuff a lot of people don't really remember, or it's not really taught nowadays. But there is a whole weird paranormal side to speaking to the gods or speaking to the spirits that is interesting, and you probably could find a lot of interesting content and topics to talk about when it comes to that. So I figured that might be something interesting to bring up.
We actually have some old Victorian books in the One Candle library on this.
Mm-hmm. And we do really appreciate the suggestion, because a lot of the content that we do is very inspired by what people want to see us to do, because we love taking suggestions and we love taking ideas. A lot of season 3 has been suggestions. Like one of our next videos that we're going to do is we're going to look at the Chupacabra. Mm-hmm. My cousin was like, "You guys should do a video on that. That'd be a great idea." So we love suggestions. If any of your viewers ever have an idea for a video that they would love for us to do, if they think they'd like it, just let us know, because we love to deliver what people want.
Right, that's awesome. Let's get into the plugs and how the people. I have your channel. Your YouTube channel is linked in the description and in the card. Well, actually, I forgot to do cards for this, but it's in the description. So let people know what the channel name is. Obviously, it's One Candle Society, but let them know that you would like them to go subscribe, and let them know where all your social media links are and plugs to let everybody know where to find your content at.
Yeah, so the best place to find our content is on our YouTube channel. One Candle Society. It's where you can get all of our videos where we talk about the different stuff in the paranormal. You can check us out on Facebook, where we're always giving updates on kind of what's coming out for the channel. On Twitter, we're also on Twitter. You guys can check us there for announcements on One Candle. You can follow us on Instagram if you guys are wanting to see kind of some of the behind the scenes kind of content. We give a lot of stuff like what inspired us to do a video, or different things that are kind of going on in the lives of me and Vic here. If you guys are interested in that, as always.
That's cool. Do you guys have any plans to maybe launch a website?
I would love to.
We've kicked it around.
We have kicked it. Like I said, we're always limited by our talents of what we could do. I think we would love to make a website.
I tell you what, I'm not an expert web designer, but I discovered Wix, and I was able to use their editor, their page editor, very easily. And the website I have now, I've been told that it's a pretty decent website. So it's if you have the funds to keep it going, I think I spend maybe $300 to $400 a year on the website, so it can be not great on something that you want to pay for is like that. But if you do have an extra couple $100 to throw into a website, I think that you guys would have a really cool website, as far as education and where they can get your content, and just like a hub of everything that could branch out to all the other places would be really cool.
And one of the things we really would love to tell people, and I don't think most of your guys' viewers know this, you are super awesome, because what most people don't know is our great banner that we have on most of our stuff was done by your very own Justin Brown.
I am very surprised you're still using it.
Oh, we love it.
It's amazing. You know, when we first started doing this, I think all we had was like a cheesy candle and like just the phrase "One Candle Society," and all of a sudden, like some sort of paranormal angel coming down from the heavens to bless us with this. You know, we just messaged this guy, says, "Here, I did this for you," and we were like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!"
I love doing graphic design. Ever since high school, when I learned, you know, they showed me Photoshop, I'm like, oh no, here it goes. You know, my imagination is, you know, infinite possibility. And I love doing that. And it didn't take a lot of effort to do that, but I was just like, I really like these guys. They said they like my stuff. I'm just going to do this for them and see what they think, you know, because...
and we are super appreciative because, and, you know, from the bottom of our hearts, you know, thank you so much. Because, you know, I honestly don't think that the channel would have been a success, you know, that it was, I think, without your help, man. We really do appreciate
that. Well, I would love to help more. If there's anything else graphically that you want to do, just let me know. I mean, I'm not going to put together something super extravagant, but I can do simple things like that pretty easy. Like, I think it only took me like 10, 15 minutes to do that for you. And, I would love to do more stuff for you if you wanted.
We really appreciate that, man. I think that's what the cool thing about the paranormal community too. Most people are pretty most people are pretty friendly with each other and working out. We discovered that when we started doing this.
That's the goal. I think everybody sets out to do that, but somewhere along the way, some people get lost. Some people get, you know, some wires crossed, and they don't really understand how it gets to that point. You know, you'll have your drama in the paranormal field, which, you know, everyone knows it's there. And there's a lot of ego too. But I think in general, there is just a lot of people out there that are just nerds, that are just weird and awkward, but are genuinely nice, supportive people. Yeah. You know, people that like, you know, weird and, you know, strange things. You know, it's like a cool little, you know, connection that we can all have. Maybe we can, you know, find out more about, you know, instead of, you know, feeling yucky and awkward about yourself, you can connect with people and then make everything feel like it's okay. And I think that's what the paranormal field really does. It makes you feel, yeah, you're not the only one out there that's, you know, seeing crazy crap or likes crazy crap. So I just love doing things for people that share similar interests, you know, because why not? You know, it's, you know, you got X amount of time to spend on this earth, you might as well try to do everything you can to help impact or influence everything you do around you in a positive way. And I think most people share that similar goal.
You know, and absolutely, man. We love to spread that sentiment around, man. Too. You know, we've seen a few channels that have just started out, too. You know, and we try to give back too when we see those channels and give shout outs when we can to get people legs up. You know, it's all we can do in the community. You know, just help each other out.
Yep, and that's why I got this show going, to bring folks like you on, to let people know, hey, you're out there, you got an awesome YouTube channel, check it out, and just to know people, you know, put their faces up there and say, hey, look, these guys are really cool. You know, give them the time that they're worth, and, you know, send them your way, and hopefully it'll help you grow and help you, inspire you to do more things and have more fun. So that's what I love doing about the show. And I'm really, really happy you guys came on, and I'm very appreciative, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. But Justin, man, don't you forget, keep believing.
Because we'll keep listening.
That's right. You guys have a good evening, and I'm going to have you back on. I'll let you know. We're going to start doing like roundtables and like multi-people podcasts. We'll figure out, you know, what the format will be, but I'll try to have you back on. Right?
Yeah, you let us. Absolutely. We play well with others.
All right, man. You guys have a good evening.
You too, man. Take it easy.
All right. Later on, guys. All right, guys. There you have it. Very super cool guys. check out their YouTube channel. They have a Facebook group. They have all kinds of cool things on social media to keep up to date with what they do. They have a lot of videos out there that have tons of views. They seem to know, have their finger on the pulse of the paranormal community. So there is something out there that's going to interest you in what they do. So please check that out. The links are in the description below. Thanks very much, guys, for joining us each and every week for the Necromancer Show. It means a lot to have your support, and I love bringing, a diverse, kind of, try to change it up, try to make it different. Next week, we're going to actually have Sarah Courtney on. She's a chick that does a paranormal group. I believe she's also from Indiana, but I don't know about that. We'll find out. But Sarah Courtney is going to be on the show next week. Let me quickly go to the Patreons. If you want to support us, other than just watching the show, please check out our Patreon page. You can go to https://www.patreon.com/support-interface-death. Okay, the link is in the description. You can just donate $1 a month. Okay, and if every subscriber on this channel just donates $1 a month, I can do pretty much anything I wanted, like bring you any type of content from anywhere, do live streams, do insane types of live videos, do insane types of production on the videos, even better than what you're getting now. So at very little expense to you guys, if you all pitched in that way, this channel can be super awesome. So if you want, or if you're interested in that, please go check that out. And our current Patreons that we have are on the screen right now. We always shout out our patrons on Necromancer. We have Matt Benton, Clay Borman, and Matthew Jackson still pledging and going strong. We're very appreciative of their support, and we think it's awesome. So until next week, please take care of yourselves. You are always in my thoughts and in my heart. Join us next week at Wednesday night, every Wednesday, 9 p.m. EST, same bat time, same bat channel. You guys have a good one. Stick around for some promotional stuff as always. We'll see you in the next one.